Hello everyone and welcome back to MixBest TV mixing and mastering tutorials on YouTube, and here we go with part 2 of our new format, the Q&As. I'm really glad to see how well this has been received. You guys sent so many great questions. We had to split the replies in 2 videos. Thank you for the support, and let's get to the questions. Question number 7, Heavy Matter Mixer 91 and Brotherhood. What do you think about top-down mixing? After organizing tracks and finishing the static mix is the way I mix all the time. Thank you for the question, guys. Yes, that's how I mix too. And this is similar to the previous questions about my workflow. I mix into my 2-bus. Not only that, but I have for all my output groups, for all my main instrument groups, let's call it this way, I have my hardware in place from the get-go. And from there, I work my way back to single tracks. Hope this answered the question, guys. Question number 8, Adam Cullen. Hi, Adam. A question relating to how good your mixes are. Well, thank you. How long did it take you before you could look back at your past mixes and appreciate them, as opposed to looking back and ripping it to shred due to your progression? That's the first part of the question. Well, a lot. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's not that after, let's say, 5 years, you wake up and your last mix is amazing. It doesn't work that way. It didn't work this way for me. It's a process. Let's say after probably 3-4 years of doing this daily, you start to listen to your mixes and you start to, take, hey, it's not that bad. But in reality, I am never really completely satisfied with my mixes. But when you do this professionally, it's probably when you hear other people liking your mixes. And in my experience, there's always going to be something you could have done better. But when you hear the vast majority of people saying, hey, this sounds great, you start to lose that insecurity that you have. We all have it, when we mix, because every mix is different and every mix is a challenge, no matter how good you are. So every time is a question mark. But when you hear, the client, the producer, and the A&R and everything involved starting to say, hey, this sounds great, then you start to lose that insecurity and you start to realize that, hey, maybe I don't suck that much. And when that happens, I notice that that's when you get better. When you lose that insecurity, which, again, it's probably our worst enemy when mixing, because all the options that we have, we question every move. Instead, when you start to be more confident that you know what you're doing, then it's where you stop questioning and start feeling the music, and the technical part becomes second nature. So you're actually after the sound and not mastering in minorities, so spending hours in shit that doesn't matter in your mix. So yeah, it's a process, but I would say probably 3-4 years, something like that. And second part of the question, a lot of people say you can achieve studio quality mixes at home, but I find there's only so much you can do in a less than ideal environment. Or should I stop bitching and spend more time with reverb delay techniques? Well, if you don't have any other choice, yeah, you have to get good with reverb and delays. That's the only option you have. And yes, drum mics and room sounds have a significant impact on recorded music, even for modern records, absolutely. And this is more about the capture, the recording process. As for achieving studio quality mixes at home, yes, a lot of people does. And it's really all about your ears, your skill, and how good you know your monitoring system, which can be a pair of headphones. There are mixing engineers out there that mix on headphones. I don't, because, I'm lucky enough to have a studio, but yeah, don't put a limit to yourself. Don't start with the preconceived idea that you cannot achieve studio quality mixes at home. It is hard, yes, and probably you need to spend a lot of time checking your mixes here and there in every possible sound system you can find. And that's why you usually don't see pros doing this at home, because of time. We don't have time to guess, so we need a reliable environment. When the song is taken out of the studio, we know that will translate well. We don't like revisions. We don't have time for revisions. So yeah, but if you mix your stuff and you have enough time and you have skills, yeah, you can achieve good sounding mixes at home, for sure. Hope this helped. Feldbox. Hi David, my questions are all for how to go hybrid. When you started to add some hardware, which priority did you follow? If you are on a limited budget and you want to start, integrating hardware, I would definitely go for a hardware compressor on your 2-bus. That's what's going to give you the most bang for your bucks, meaning that's what is going to affect your mix the most. Having to have one piece of hardware only. Analog summing box. Your experience, do you think it can help with 3D wide and depth in the mix? Do you use it? If not, why? Well, I think analog summing boxes, for the most part, are bullshit. In the sense that there's nothing wrong with the summing process inside Pro Tools. What you get from a summing box is the sound of the components. If it has transformers, if it has tubes, or if it has whatever coloring going on inside due to the components. For example, the Chandler mini mixer. It has, 5,000 transformers inside. Of course it's going to add color. Of course it's going to add weight. But it's not because of the summing. It's because of the components itself. So will it help with 3D width and depth? Yes and no. Meaning a compressor with the same transformers will give you the same, saturation and the same color and the same help with 3D width and depth. And it will compress if you want. You know where I'm going with this? Analog summing boxes are popular because they are marketed like you don't need skill to use them. You just need to buy this and plug it in. And that's bullshit. Because no summing box will take your demo quality mix to professional level just by plugging it in. Will it help? It will color if it has color. But so will any other piece of gear. And if you have an EQ, you also have an EQ. And, if the color you get it from a compressor, you also have a compressor. But you need to know how to use those. The analog summing boxes are popular because they are dumb machine. You don't need skills, just plug this in. Doesn't work that way. Rack versus 500 series, do they have the same performance? It depends on the designer, it depends on the manufacturer. Some pieces were designed for the 500 series and they have zero problems and they sound amazing. Same goes for, most, I would say, 9 inches rack gear redesigned for the 500 series. I only had problems with a couple of 500 series pieces regarding headroom. And I don't have those anymore. But that was limited to really a couple of pieces. I never had the same unit both in rack and 500 series to directly compare. So if there is a problem with a given module, it's not the 500 series system that is flawed, it's that module that is flawed. It is a bad design. And as far as power supplies like the 500 series rack, yeah, you need a powerful rack. Just make sure you don't buy like the cheapest possible and make sure it has an external power supply. And I never had any problem with them. Recalls, hardware without recall features. Is it an issue for you? How do you manage the recalls for the hardware without this feature? If you mean the digital recall, like my West Audio Dione, there are very few units out there with digital recalls, and I hope more manufacturer will go that route, because the truth is recalls are a bitch when you mix hybrid or analog. That's why I have 4 distressors, because I don't want to recall. I don't want to change the settings, if I need to change settings, I'll buy another one. And I hate recalls. And I don't like non-stepped gear. I try to avoid non-stepped gear. It's not always possible. But that's why we have so many pieces of gear. Recalls are a bitch. And when I can, I prefer the stepped versions. So, recalls are precise. The best way to deal with recalls for me is get the client not to ask for revisions. Make your mix as good that you don't get asked for revisions, so you don't need to recall. That's really the best way to deal with recalls. But yeah, they are part of the deal. When I buy a unit, I take into account how hard it is to recall it. And that's a wrap. This is it for the second part of the Q&A. Since this has been received so well, we are going to do it again. What you say, guys? As a reminder, if you want your question to be featured and answered in future Q&As videos, please post your question as a comment on any of our YouTube videos or on our Facebook page or Twitter page. But YouTube comments are preferred as it's easier for us not to miss any. We'll pick the best questions and reply to them in the videos. Also remember, we post feature mixes from time to time on our Facebook page and Twitter page. You can find them on our SoundCloud page, so you can listen to them and ask any particular question about one of my mixes if you want. But as usual, the questions are open to everything. They don't necessarily need to be about any of my mixes. So this is it. Thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please don't forget to hit the like button. Keep supporting MixBuzz TV by sharing the videos and spreading the word on blogs, forums, social media. Subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time.